For this project, I chose poplar. And that's not my normal wood to go with because it is a bit softer, it's not very structural. But this piece didn't need to be structural, it was there for looks. And I do like the multi-colors in poplar. It's a fairly straight grain, it is very easy to work with, it cuts nicely, and you can do molding on it very easily. And so for that choice, it was a good board for this. I cut the two 8-foot boards down, so I would have 2 boards at 5 foot and 2 boards at 3 foot. And then with the 3-foot boards, I cut a half lap on either end, marking it out on all sides. So the half lap is into the board, the width of the board, so 3.5 inches, and I'll be removing half of the thickness of the board. So I'll start by making a knife wall. This is basically a groove right up against that marking knife line that the saw blade can run in. And I'll cut halfway through the board down to the marking gauge line that I put on it. And this allows me to then come in from the other end with the tenon saw and cut down the cheek all the way down to the shoulder that was previously cut. So I'm basically slicing out a small piece of the face. This will allow this to overlap the other board exactly halfway. So a few more strokes, I can see it start to come loose. And rather than pushing a little bit farther, I'll just snap it off and I can clean the rest with a chisel. Now before I go any farther, I wanted to do all of the beading and molding on it. And I have a 1/2 inch bead that I put in a 1/2 inch from the outside, and I'll be running that down both sides. Once I have the bead on, then I'll chamfer the outside corners very heavily, and that will then give me a bit of a molding shape to either side. And I just continue going until the depth stop on the Stanley number 55 hits the bottom. I could do this with a 45, but I had the 55 all set up, so let's do that. Just using a block plane to make that chamfer on the far edge. You can hear me counting. And that way I can do the exact same amount of chamfer on every side, 7 strokes from one end to the other. That should give me fairly close to the same size chamfer on all sides. Now let's have a little bit of fun. I love this part of the work. Stanley number 45 and a 55 are just a joy to use. Now to make the half lap on the longer boards, I score down the cheek on either side and then remove the waste with a chisel. I'll take out a fairly heavy chunk, about 1/3 or so, with the chisel, and every time I'm aiming towards the top of the board. I don't want to aim all the other side just in case something happens to chip out. And as I get closer and closer to the bottom, I will take out smaller and smaller chunks. And I'm not going all the way to the other side. I'm stopping short because I don't want to blow out the other side. Once I get down really close to it, then I will pare out with just hand pressure and get it very, very close to the edge. Then for that last 1/64 of an inch or so, I'll bring in the router plane and clean that up. This makes very quick work of it, and it's a beautiful tool to have in the shop. It's one you can make your own, or you can buy one. Just a good tool to have, and it makes things so much nicer. Once I get it completely clean on one side, I'll then flip it over so that I can get the other side without blowing it out. And the other side goes much, much quicker. Now let's do the glue up. A very straightforward glue up with the 4 joints. The half lap holds them together very well. I'll end up basically just putting a C-clamp on each of the joints, squeezing them together, and then putting a pole clamp from top to bottom so that those rails are pulled towards each other, seating those joints nice and tight. I'll put in a block of wood as a pressure plate so that the C-clamp doesn't crush the weak poplar. And then here are the bar clamps squeezing the 2 sides together. Now I need to mark out where to put the eye rings, eye screws, so that they can have a string running from one side to the other to hold the artwork. And I'll just mark out every 6 inches along, and then one eye screw is 3/4 of an inch down from the top, so that there's a string running basically around the top right there. I really enjoy twisting these in. I don't know why, but this is enjoyable. I guess I have a twisted sense of humor. But once that's on, I can then apply the finish. And it is my tradition boiled linseed oil and a paste wax. Took a little bit more to get the boiled linseed oil down into the grooves, but it's well worth the work. Traditional picture hanger on the back so I can hang it on the wall. Just 2 eye screws with a wire going between them, and you can hang it on the wall easily. The cord is just a simple twine tied at either end and pulled between the eye screws. This gives me a good place to then put on the clothespins, and it gives it a fairly rustic look, almost like a clothesline. That was really what my wife was wanting. And then all the kids can see their artwork going up. Yeah, they like it. And I like the joinery on it. It was just a very simple, easy project, and a great look in the end. The poplar really pops out, and it's a good looking piece. And the artwork makes it look even better. My wife and I were a little bit tired of artwork completely taking over the refrigerator and the counter and the floor and the table and the desks and everywhere else. We really wanted to have a spot that the kids could show off their artwork. We could kind of showcase it and make them feel kind of special. So this is the idea we came up with. Just a simple frame with some string going across it that we can hang them up on. Has a bit of an artistic feel, a bit of a showcase, and something that the kids can feel proud about hanging up their artwork. And it was a fairly quick and simple project, but a lot of fun to do, and I think it'll work out pretty well. So feel free to tell me what you think about it. If you thought I could have done something better, please let me know. If you liked the video, please hit like and think about subscribing. And until next time, have a wonderful day.